Go ahead and get started here, you guys. Hey there, and welcome to Sunday Night Live with the Song Shack. Super fun time where we come in here and we get engaged and we get to hear. Normally we have performers that perform in the beginning of our show, but tonight we are not doing that because there's so much information and some really exciting information. I'm tickled to share with you guys. I'm trying to find. God, I'm so technology. Okay, whatever. Forget it. I'm so challenged. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. There's a couple people I'm waiting on. Let me make sure that's not them that just texted me. Hang on a second. Hey, baby, I've already started. Come on in. I have to be careful walking away because I have on my dress shirt, but not so much my dress pants. I'm having to, I know Millie, I'm the worst. I've got to get life together. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and get into it.
I just asked Lizzie if she's coming.
Okay, yeah, Lizzie, Alex, have you talked to Dusty? Excuse me.
Yeah, she said she's coming.
Okay, good. There's just a couple of people that I know are doing some intern work, so I want to make sure that I give them the opportunity to get in here. Cody, will you write down, or Millieanne, who all's in the meeting, the name, so that way I can touch base with everything. What's up, Whit? Whit, your new video is so cool. Oh my gosh, we ought to show that while we're getting everybody in here. All right, we're going to give it just a couple more minutes. This is so much important information. I know I've said that, but for the new people that are coming in, this is, truly it's everything. I do like conferences on this that are like, a couple weeks long. So I'm condensing a lot of this information for you guys. And then, next week, we're going to go into the second part of it. And then the 14th, obviously everybody will be with their booze on Valentine's Day, whatever. But, on the 21st, we're going to do just the people that are wanting to pitch. So if that's you and you're wanting an opportunity to not just pitch your songs, but pitch through the Song Shack, which I'll go over some of that, then we'll do that just the 21st. I want to say hi to some new people. Kirsten, I hope I pronounced that right. Zippera, that is such a cool name. I don't know if that's your real name or not, but I love that. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started with some cool stuff. Again, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and start now. Tonight, we are going to be covering Understanding Sync, which this is a fairly new concept, growing so much over the past few years. And tonight, particularly, we're going to talk about understanding what it is, what's currently going on with what TV series are looking for, how to write for it, how to prepare for it. And then I'm going to give you guys some really cool examples of music that I've placed on sync projects, which is so awesome because I found my Stranger Things pitch, which I know everybody's heard me talk about. Like, I place music on Stranger Things. What's so crazy is that has just been my word again. People just have to take me at my word. And now I found the paperwork. So I'm so excited to share that. So we'll look at some of that. And also I'm going to give you guys a challenge, which is going to be really insane, of a brief. And then if not this particular sync meeting, then next week, I'm going to give y'all an actual brief to pitch, but you'll have to send the music to me. So that way, if I see that it fits, and then y'all can put some, one of the challenges going to be so fun is I'm going to give you a scene, an actual scene. And you get an idea of what you think the music would be. And then next week we'll visit with the actual music that was placed in that scene. And that way you can kind of see, sometimes it's really outside of the box. Okay, so welcome everybody. See a lot of new people. I'm so glad you guys are here. If you miss anything, please take notes. It's a lot of information, but if you do miss anything, keep in mind that I post this on the Song Shack Share Circle. There's a lot of S's on Facebook. So there'll be a video there. And of course, anybody who's got questions, which some of you may, feel free to shoot me a message, preferably email. Okay, so let's get started. Syncs. Who knows what syncs are? Like, raise your hand. I know some of my people know exactly what a sync is. Okay. And keep in mind, if you have any questions, there's the chat area, you can type that into the chat area, or you can just, raise your hand, and I'm trying to look at everybody. Cody, will you and Millieanne help me keep up with who's in the chat? If I'm
Yeah,
missing
for
a
sure.
chat.
We already started a list, so.
Okay, cool. I love that. You guys are the best. Okay, so what a sync is putting an original piece of music to a visual arts media project. That could be TV show, a commercial, it can be sports games, that sports promos, any kind of advertisement, film, movies, and video games, which have turned into a really big area for syncs also. Tonight, we're going to focus primarily on television and advertisement, and I'm going to tell you why. Syncs for TV and ads are produced the same and are similar in the nature of them, whereas the films has a different kind of recording process, and sports also has got a little bit of a different, and we'll go into some of that in the next one. But so tonight we're going to focus on TV and advertisements, which pay so much. I can't wait to show you all some examples. Okay, so sync is anytime you have an original piece of music and it goes in on any of these projects, then what happens is whoever is the music supervisor or director over that project, they reach out, and they say, we're going to use this song for this scene. And then when that happens, you get what's called a licensing fee. And a licensing fee is different from, I know a lot of you guys have heard of royalties. Royalties is something that your PRO, which we'll go over some of that, a BMI ASCAP pays you when something gets played. A licensing fee is a one-time fee that you get when you have placed a piece of music on the show and there's a license that's required for that. Let's look at something. I'm going to show you guys some cool examples. Let me just share screen. Oh God, hang on. Y'all, thanks for bearing with me. I'm not the best. I'm learning all of this new technology stuff, so I'm a hot mess. But I do want to show y'all a couple of things. And I'm going to show y'all my pitches, which is so cool. My Stranger Things pitch, and I found the documents. Okay, so we're going to look at a couple of the top, let me see here, a couple of top scenes for music. I'm going to mute myself here. Okay, can y'all hear any of that?
We cannot hear it.
All right, hang on. Let me see how I'm gonna be able to do this. I think I've muted it somehow. Oh, that's why. I hit unmute. I'm so sorry. Hang on. All right, here we go. Can y'all hear me?
Welcome to WanderWalker.com. Today we're breaking down our picks for the top 10 movie moments where music made the scene. For this list, we're taking a look at scenes in movies that wouldn't have been nearly as effective without musical accompaniment. We're limiting this list to soundtrack-only music rather than songs that characters interact with.
All right. I'm gonna pause this for 2 seconds. I'm about to show you something that's kind of violent, but it's one of my favorite pieces of music that's actually been placed. So if this is a trigger for you, this would be a good time to kind of turn away. Okay, hang on.
How violent is violent?
It's kind of bad.
It's kind of bad.
Okay, here we go. Oh, this didn't add.
Number 9.
Here it is.
Freebird by Leonard Skinner. Kingsman: The Secret Service. After a series of SIM cards are activated, all hell breaks loose in a church full of hate-mongers. Unable to control themselves, the people engage in an all-out battle royale. Only one can remain standing.
Oh,
But being a
Okay, sorry about that, but there was a reason why I showed you that. Okay, so let me mute this, damn it.
Missy, you're muted.
Oh my God, can y'all hear me?
Okay, you're good now.
Okay, cool. The reason why I showed y'all that, even though it was super graphic, and I apologize for that, but the reason why I did that is to show you that piece, that song has been put in scenes like that over 50 times. So that particular song, I can, off the top of my head, I can think of Forrest Gump when Jenny is like on the balcony or whatever. I mean, I can think of just tons off the top of my head, but that piece of Freebird music fits in these really erratic scenes all the time. And I actually, yeah, but that particular scene is as gory as it is. Without that piece of music, it would not have given the listener and the viewer the experience of the goriness. So that was one thing that I did want to point out to you guys. And then I want to show you an example of how the music sets the scene in a very somber kind of way. Does anybody think of their favorite scenes? Let's do this Friday that. Of your favorite movie, and there's a scene that the music just made that scene for you. Somebody?
Absolutely.
What do you think? What's yours? What comes to your head?
This is Cody, by the way. One that comes to my mind instantly is actually Due Date, if anyone's seen it. And it's kind of like a low down mood. They're kind of upset, but they're driving on the way home, and it's what is it? Old Man by Neil Young. And
Yes.
that song plays, and I
Oh
remember
man, take a look at my life.
profound song. Like it's such like a lyrically just a strong song that you don't ever hear. It's not very like commercial and out there, but you listen to it, and in that scene, it just makes the song like super good, super strong. So yeah,
It set the scene, made you feel more in the scene.
Right, like it totally puts you in the scene. Absolutely.
A lot of death scenes have those moments where like the most crazy song is being played, and it just makes it more the scene more striking. Can anybody else think of anything off the top of their head?
Back like I think when I was in high school, like Face Off, I think is the movie that has like where the little boy there's shooting all around. They put the headphones on the little boy and it plays Somewhere Over the Rainbow while all the shooting is going on.
Yes. God, that gives me chill bumps. And the reason why, and somebody probably won an Emmy, there's probably a music supervisor somewhere that won an Emmy for that, because that is the kind of music that's such a juxtapose to the scene. And I know that with some of the music supervisors will place like these really ironic pieces of music in a scene. And I'll just tell you about one that I did for, oh my God, American Horror Story. The song was an old 50s song. It was kind of felt like a honky tonk song that got placed in the scene. But when the music supervisor sent me the scene, she was like, okay, the woman, I think, just killed her baby or had some dead baby, but it was like a baby doll that she's on this porch rocking it. And they were looking for a lullaby type of a song. And so at first I thought, okay, well, I've got a lot of good cover songs of people doing lullabies. And she's like, no, we're looking for a honky tonk, really dark. And I'm like, what? So anyhow, I sent her a honky tonk song, and that was made the scene so much more creepy than it would have been. A lot of times if you think about death scenes, sometimes you've got like punk music that'll be just like really hitting that scene. Sometimes you'll have very ambient, then that'll sell the scene. And it just kind of depends on the vibe. So anyhow, that's basically what I'm talking about, is you've got a scene, and who knows what a music supervisor is? I know my people do.
Someone who supervises.
Your music supervisor is the person that places every piece of music on a project, whether it is an ad, whether it's a television series. Sometimes the music supervisor may come in just for an episode. Oftentimes, though, the music supervisor is there for the entire project. And so that music supervisor is taking a look at the show, and they're like, okay, I need to find a piece of music for this, a piece of music for that. And the music supervisor is the person that will decide whether or not they want your piece of music. If they do want your piece of music, they say, okay, we're going to take this and we're going to write a license for it. We're going to license this piece of music, and we're going to place it on this TV show. So that's a sync deal as far as the TV world is concerned. As far as ad worlds is concerned, it's basically the same thing. Oftentimes ads are a little bit more specific, and sometimes songs are written specifically for ads. But let's talk about TV for a second. So I'm going to show you an interesting little thing. Okay, so I talk about Stranger Things just because I tell this story often, and for some of you that are new, when I was working in publishing and doing sync full time, you know, you're always looking for good music. So you keep a catalog. And then when you built a relationship with music supervisors, sometimes they'll contact you because they know that you have music or whatever. And they're like, hey, this is a scene, we're looking for this. So this particular music supervisor, Pam, she had just gotten assigned to Stranger Things, and I had placed a song with the first season. And I remember thinking, this show, what? It's like the 80s aliens. I was so confused. I was like, this is not going to stick. So she offered a licensing fee to me. I was representing this artist, Carol Lloyd at the time. And the license fee was so small, $500. That's what the songwriter would have gotten. And I remember thinking that's really low, but we're going to go ahead and take it. Just because, you know, it was on, I think it was on HBO before it was on Netflix. I can't really remember, but anyhow, so I went ahead and did it. Then what happened was that piece of music ended up doing really well. So then she sent an email back and she's like, hey, I want to use another piece of music like this one for this. I think it was the second season. And I was like, we're not doing a $500 licensing fee because now the show had more momentum. And I have to show you this. Okay, I wanted to upload this and all that, but whatever. They're just gonna have to bear with me. Okay, so, oh my God. I'm ashamed of myself. Look, can you see that even? Jesus. Am I the worst, Cody? Oh my God, this was purposeless. I printed this for nothing. Okay, hang on. I'm just gonna read it to you. I'm gonna take my word for it. Dang it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to upload this later and I'm going to put it on the Facebook, the Song Shack group. If you haven't joined the Facebook group, for some of you new people, it's the Facebook Song Shacks. Shoot me an email or whatever and join because I keep a lot of this on there. But I'm going to upload this. This is what it is. Okay, to Missy from Pam. Hi, Missy. Great news to share. Just got word that we have a replacement on the Netflix hit Stranger Things. Remember them. Thanks for all of your hard work on the first episode. You've been so diligent. I think you'll be happy to hear this. Since you got the songs cleared so quickly, I think it would be good for you to pitch for this particular scene. I will get the cue sheet over. However, the neighborhood of the sync fee is $10,000. $10,000. So that was what that Netflix Stranger Things. And Carol Lloyd, Try My Love, was one of these. And I'm going to show you the actual song on this thing. Hang on, you guys. In 2 seconds, I'm going to show you this. It's going to be super cool. I'm always scared there's going to be something on my browser history that when I share the screen. Okay, let me get back to you guys. All right, hang on. I'm going to share this if I can figure this out. Okay, I'm about to share this right now. Okay. This is the actual, oh my God, Jesus. I know I just did something wrong. No. Oh my God, you guys. Y'all be patient with me. I swear to God.
Missy, are you trying to get it so you can share audio too?
I guess, Mia.
So what I do is I share screen and then I hit microphone on and then that, people can usually hear
Mia,
my
I tell
audio
you what,
better.
can one of y'all, Million, your Wi-Fi is sketchy. Can somebody go to tunefind.com?
I don't trust myself.
If anybody can, who's got that, and then I can let you share the screen.
I volunteer, Cody.
Cody?
You
I don't know
got
if he
this, Million.
You said you've got it. God, I have it. Hang on. May be able to do it over here. But anyhow, this is what I'm about to show you. So anyhow, so Pam Lloyd said, okay. Pam Lewis was like, I'm going to go ahead and place this piece of music on this scene for Stranger Things. So anyhow, she comes to me and she's like, here's the scene. And then I'm representing Carol Lloyd's music. So I said, okay, I'm going to agree to these terms. And then she said, okay, we're going to place it. It's going to be on, episode, what was it? I think it was season 2. It was chapter 5, Dig Dug. So anyhow, I was like, okay, cool. She's like, the songwriter will get the money after the show, the director, we know the director hadn't cut it. Cause sometimes you will get a licensing fee. You'll get the deal, everything. You'll have your cue sheet. And then at the last minute, the director may be like, we're cutting that scene. So that means that's why you can't get your hopes up when you first get a licensing deal, because you have to wait until that scene actually is wrapped. But I'm going to show you really quick here. So this was Stranger Things, and it was Dig Dug, and this was $10,000, and it was like 15 seconds of this song. So I'm going to show you the actual music on here. Give me 2 seconds. And this was an older song from the catalog from one of the artists that's older. All right, hang on. I'm going to mute this and share over here. Can y'all hear that?
Yes, ma'am.
Just barely on this side.
Okay, here we go.
There we go.
Okay, so that was the actual piece of music. It was like, under 20 seconds. That was $10,000 that songwriter got paid. So at this point, we've written a license. The song went through. That's 10 grand. So how does that money separate? I'm going to tell you. When you get the licensing fee, that goes to the songwriter. So if it is a Dusty song, then Dusty wrote Try My Love, and she gets, she didn't have to share it. She wrote it by herself. So if it's 10 grand, then Dusty gets that 10 grand. However, if there is somebody that owns the masters, so some of you guys will record music and your producer, you may not be able to pay your producer, so your producer might record you for free. So they're holding on to the masters. So the master rights holder also gets a percentage of that 10 grand, depending on what your deal is. So this is why all my students are like, oh, Missy and her contract is so ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. And I'm friends. This is my best friend. We wrote a song together. It doesn't matter. We always still need that documentation for pitching, because for a music supervisor needs that documentation. Yeah, Whit, did you have your hand? Oh, you didn't have a question? Okay. Yeah, y'all feel free to ask me questions. I see that there's 2 things in the chat. Okay, thank you. His studio lights up. Thank you, darling. Yes, Mia?
I don't know if I was the only one who didn't hear the music, but right after you muted, I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
And that might have just been me.
I'm so technology or challenged with this technology. If what you guys can do is write down tunefind.com. That's somewhere where you can go and research, which is going to be a handy tool for you guys, because you're going to need to know what music is placing right now. So that's going to be a #1 resource for you is tunefind.com. That shows you everything that's on TV. And then when you go type in Stranger Things, then you can go to Dig Dug, which was the episode that I placed that piece of music on. And then you've got the process of splitting it. So you've got 10 grand. Dusty wrote the song by herself. She has nobody to split it with. The producer, she's got her stem, she's got her WAV file. She has no one to split it with. However, if she wrote it with, say, Evie, then that licensing fee gets split. So if it's $10,000 and Evie wrote half and Dusty wrote half, then they split that. So let's add something else in here. If you have a publisher, your publisher is going to get a percentage of that licensing fee. Now royalties are different, because royalties come to you every quarter, and that's how many download streams, views, they calculate that quarterly, and then you get a check separate from your PRO, which if you don't have a PRO, it's BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC. Usually it's BMI and ASCAP are the 2 that most people work with. that's something you have to be registered with. So some of that, I know my students know about that. And for those of you guys that aren't familiar with how to register with your PRO, that's something to ask your instructor, or feel free to send me an email on that. So then we've split it that way. Dusty's got hers, and who's she writing with? Evie, did I say? I forget who my hypothetical songwriter was. But anyhow, so they're splitting that. But if there's a publisher, then the publisher is going to get a percentage of that license fee, and a sync agent, and/or. So that's what you're looking at, is the whole of money. The artist doesn't get paid. This is what's interesting, is the artist does not get paid licensing fees for sync placements. Isn't that weird? In the beginning, I always thought, okay, well, if I'm the songwriter and Lady Gaga performs my song, then surely she's going to get that money. No, she doesn't. Isn't that crazy? She doesn't. The artist only gets paid for licensing fees in a sync if they participated in writing. All right, let me make sure I'm staying on track. Does anybody have any questions? I know I'm really having to hit a lot of these like main points. Okay, so let me ask you this. So let's say that you have gotten your music together, which we're going to talk about that process, but and you found a project. Yes or no? Who thinks that you can go and pitch your music directly to a music supervisor in a project?
I don't think.
Okay, Millian, explain to us why.
Because like anything in the music industry, you're always working up a tier. So you have to impress the lowest level to impress the next level, and they have to be impressed to impress. Like it's a tier system, I feel like.
For sure. And that's really true. So the important thing is when you do get ready to pitch music, that that you're not going to be able to just like call up NBC and pitch to them. You're going to have to go through either a publisher or a sync agent or somebody who is in that network. I know that even when you're in the network, it took me years to be able to pitch to NBC. And I made one contact, Jen Pike, and I will always remember her because she was so merciful to me, because I fell up the stairs at a sync summit trying to bring coffee to her and trying to impress some of these music supervisors. I think it was in LA or Nashville, I can't remember. And so I'm like trying to get to them and meet them so that way they'd remember me, because you have to have permission to pitch. So that's something that is important for you to know and to notate. You can't just go to the music supervisor directly. You have to have permission to pitch. The odds of you getting permission as just a songwriter on the street are very low. And I'm going to tell you why. Does anybody have an idea why the music supervisor would not want to mess with somebody just off the street? Yes, Millian?
Because a lot of people aren't as informed. Like,
that's very true. Because here's the number one reason is, what if the music supervisor meets you at Starbucks and they're like, oh my God, Caroline, this is the best piece of music. Did you write this? And Caroline is like, yeah. And they're like, do you have your masters and your copyrights? Yeah. And then she gives them to the music supervisor. The music supervisor then goes and puts it in a Paramount picture. And then all of a sudden Caroline's best friend is like, hang on, wait, I just heard my song on a major network film, or, and then all of a sudden that film is shut down because the copyright infringement is huge. So not only has the Paramount, Warner Brothers, whoever has licensed that music, has a production that has stopped because there is a copyright infringement. So you're talking about millions of dollars worth of liability lawsuits because of one person that did not do the proper paperwork. So now you've got a music supervisor that's blacklisted and lost their job for life. I mean, they're going to have to go work at a local restaurant or something. Then you've got a songwriter who's blacklisted for life just because she didn't know better and she depended on the music supervisor. So that's why nobody's going to take your music off the street. You have to go through this, like Millian said, tier system. So anyhow, lucky for some of you guys, that's what we're learning about today, is how to get this music into the music supervisor. So here I am in the Song Shack. We are able to pitch. So just because I love River doesn't mean that I'm just going to take her song up to Jim Piken at NBC, who gave me a chance a long time ago. And now I've got that good network with her. And I love River and I love River's song. And I'm going to call Jen and be like, hey, Jen, I've got a song for This Is Us. And she's like, okay. And then I send it over and it doesn't fit. It wasn't right. I didn't do my research. I just love River. I didn't love the song. And now Jen's not messing with me anymore. She's one of my dear friends. And she'd still be like, girl, like you wasted 20 minutes of my time. Music supervisors in this industry right now are the busiest people in the world. They have, this is the newest research that I thought was so interesting. Used to, we would listen to music, and I would as a publisher. Somebody's like, check out my cousin's this or that. I'd listen to it for about 10, 15 seconds. If they didn't have me by 10 or 15 seconds, I'd skip to the chorus maybe. And then I'd be like, I just sitting hitting for me. I don't feel like it's going to work with any of the projects I'm working with. Now, music supervisors give you 5 seconds. They want to know the vibe of your song. So if you think you're going to put a long intro on a song that you're pitching, you're going to lose your pitch. You're going to lose it for me too. Because even though, unless I'm working with you and I know the song and I've already told you that intro is too damn long, you're going to have to cut it. Then if you're just a person I know, I'm not listening to it either because I'm nobody and I'm busy. I've got lots of music I'm listening to. So you have to get to the point really quick. Now, keep in mind, music for syncs are different than music for artists. So as an artist, when you're releasing a single, you may have, like with the driver's license, it's got the keys and the light, the everything turning on, an Olivia Rodrigo song or whatever. And then you can hear the switch when she's getting in the car. And that's really cool because it's an artist song. However, it's not cool if it's for sync because a music director is going to cut all that out for the scene. I'm going to stop for 2 seconds. Does anybody have any questions? I know I'm dumping a lot of information. I'm going to step back for a second. Okay, I'm good. All right. So now you've got your song. You've got the Song Shack or another sync agent or a publisher that has authorization to pitch your music. Let's talk about now what it is that you're going to need to have prepared. Okay, so that's going to be the next thing we talk about is what is it, if you have an original piece of music that you're wanting to get on a project, what, aside from the music content, we'll talk about that in a minute, but what do you think you need to have prepared for your pitch to just a sync agent before you can even get to a music supervisor? Take a guess. Besides your MP3. Okay, Millieanne.
I'm sorry I'm talking so much.
No, thank you so much. You need to, yes, encourage the conversation.
You have to have lyrics, copyright. I'm sure you have to have it produced. Like, you have to have it on a platform that they can get on. I'm sure there's a lot more, but that's what I can think
that was
of.
basically it. So I know with my students, I teach you guys, for one, this is after you've written the perfect song for a sync. Okay, so we're just assuming everything in production is good. So you need to have a copyright of it. It needs to be uploaded to your BMI or ASCAP, which is your PRO. This is super important. And some of this PRO stuff and copyrights, we're going to get into a little bit deeper once we get more into the series. But you're going to need a WAV file, your MP3 with metadata. Who knows what metadata is? Dusty? Busted Dusty. She's probably like on another conversation. Hey, Wanch. I'm just playing. I love her so much. Hey, what is metadata? Oh my God.
I don't know.
Shame on you. Oh my God. Alex, so help me. Alex Gick. If you, Caroline, you know what metadata. My students need to come to the front. Oh, I'm so ashamed of all of y'all. Can I do demerits as a songwriting teacher? Okay,
My
so
mom knows what it is.
Oh my God. So
She
good
told
for-
me
you know
twice
what?
and I didn't even hear it.
See, I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of her. How dare her pay more attention than you, Mia? I swear to God, you and I are going to have a conversation. Okay, so let's talk about metadata because this is something that is trending for 2021, all music. So even if you're not doing a sync, let's say you've released a single, this metadata is creating an algorithm, which is so important right now because everything is digital, everything's online. People aren't even clicking anymore. You've got all of these voice recognized systems. They don't even have to get in a remote and speak. They can talk to their Alexa or their Siri, and they're going to be like, hey, I want to listen to a really cool up-tempo song that's by blah, blah, blah. Now it's Alexa's job, it's Siri, it's all of these Google Nest, whatever, that is responsible for figuring out what that even means. You know, have you ever thought about that? How did they find a song when you just say, hey, I want to listen to something fun and up tempo? And I don't know who the artist is, but I just need it to be. There's an algorithm. So the metadata creates that. So let's talk about metadata. The first metadata is important for that to be able to be found. Like I said, even if you're not doing sync, you need people to be able to find your music. But for two, it's important for sync because that's where all the information is. The metadata is the information of your song, and it is kept in the notes section of your MP3. And I'm going to tell you why it's so important, period. And that is because if somebody shared Wit's MP3, just like, hey, check this out, and it was something that had no metadata in it, then somebody was like, I love this song and I want to license this song for my ad. I'm going to give it 50 grand licensing fee. How are we going to find it? There's no way. So the metadata, which is in the notes section, that basically is saying, hey, here's the title of my song. Here's the copyright number or the BMI ASCAP number. Here's the songwriter, and here's the contact information of the songwriter. So that's the minimal needs of metadata. So that way, at least if somebody finds your song, they know where to contact you or where to find more information. Now, you can also, for sync, we need to know the beats per minute, the mood. Used to be the genre. I remember when I first started pitching music, they'd be like, yeah, we're looking for, trap rap with a female vocalist, or we're looking for, a jazz piece with no vocals. And now, we don't even nobody really has genres anymore. There's so many subgenres that there's no genres anymore. Who knows what I'm talking about? Because it's so we talk about that. Nobody knows what it is. I know some of y'all have got projects that are so unique and creative. We can't call it something, so now the genres are kind of going away, and now it's more about mood and vibe and style. So now a lot of times music supervisors, and this is why it's important to put this in your metadata, they don't really care what genre you are. They want to know what's the vibe. Is it beachy? Is it dark? Is it happy? Is it love song, mid-tempo? So that's the kind of stuff that the more specific information you can put in your metadata, the better your algorithm is, the better the odds of somebody getting Wit single instead of somebody else's single when they're looking for something. So the metadata is super important. I'm going to stop on that for 2 seconds and see if we have any questions. Y'all feel free to speak up because, come on in, take your shoes off. Y'all can get comfortable in here. Okay, so that's important with metadata. Okay, so now, Cody, am I boring? Oh my God, he went to sleep. He just went to sleep. It's so much information. What's that, Michael? So anyhow, it's all of this is so important because it all builds off the other. So you've got, now we know the music licensing and why we can't just walk it up to somebody. And how important the metadata is, how important you're registering your copyright, your PROs, all that's important. And then the metadata being even more specific. So I'm talking about the metadata, even though it's a fancy technology, kind of like, what is this even? It's that important that we need to talk about it. So now that genres are not as important anymore, for syncs, oftentimes I'll get a brief and somebody will say, they don't say they're looking for, an indie punk song. They'll say, I'm looking for something that, is up tempo, this kind of content. They might say indie punk, but what they're going to do is put like a reel, which I talk about all the time, which Caroline, tell us what a reel is for people who don't know. I will stab you right here in front of everyone on Zoom. Caroline, I swear I'm just going to hit delete. Where's the delete so I can delete Caroline Board? I'm just kidding. I love you so much. How dare you, Mia? I'm not even asking you. Wit, I know you know what a reel is. We've talked about it for 50 years.
Isn't it like the people that are like you?
Yes. Recommend it if you'd like.
There you go, Chase.
So your reels are so important because again, that's your algorithm. So let's just say, that you've got Alex has released her song. Her metadata is good. Max said on stop going, I love you. So anyhow, the metadata is done, but they don't really have there's no algorithm created because nobody really knows what category to put it in. So that's why as an artist or when you release something, even if your reel as an artist is say Pink, say I love Pink, she's my inspiration. but really I sound like Lady Gaga and my mood is Lady Gaga. So that's going to be your reel. And again, the reason why that's important, especially, you know, for some of you guys that were here for our last Sunday Night Live, we were talking about 2021 trends, which, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to do another one of those because that's just like more stuff has come in. It's like there's so much information. My brain's so tired. But the 2021 trends talk so much about knowing who you are as an artist and branding, which we've known that for a long time. But these algorithms, they're so important. So you've got to know that your one song, even though you love Pink, that's your inspiration, but this song sounds like Lady Gaga. The next song may sound like Halsey. So your reels may change for each individual single. So that's what you're hitting with these reels is you want somebody that's listening to Lady Gaga to see in their playlist selection or suggestions or on YouTube. You know how everybody's suggesting something. Any social media site you go to is like, oh, wait, you're listening to AC/DC. Oh, you're going to love Led Zeppelin. So then it like pops this up over here in this sidebar. That's what this whole algorithm is about. So that's why it's so important. There's so much. I'm looking at, I've got 15 minutes left. Okay. Jesus, Lord, have mercy. Thank you. But I will say this is obviously going to be a 3-part series. There's just no way. Am I doing okay with getting all this information without just being sloppy about it? I know my students love me. Are just going to say that. But some of the new ones, am I saying Zipporah right? I know I'm not. Just call me out. Just call me out.
It's pronounced Zipporah.
Zipporah. Okay, of course she said it so much better than, oh my God. I literally was like, Zipporah. Zipporah, that's beautiful. I hope, are you understanding me? Am I just like so spastic?
Yes, it all makes sense. And either way you pronounce it is fine.
Okay, you're so pretty. Look at you. I can't even stand it. Your name, your pretty name. So I think that that's some of the main things that this part of, and like I said, this is definitely going to have to be a 3-part series more than likely, because this is just literally like like I said, this is stuff that I know I've got students at, one of my students at Berkeley, one of my students at Belmont that just like, this is like a 2 semesters worth of information. I'm trying to put these into like more of a thesis sentence, you know, like Reader's Digest, a short, what's up? But anyhow, so I think that that's something for us to think about. Hey, darling. So I think that's the main points for today is to know exactly what the sync is, where it goes. And like I said, we're specifically talking about television and ads. And the reason for that is, for one, that's just my specialty. I mean, film, getting your music on film, which I will say, I know some of y'all work with Sarah Langston. She was such a great vocalist. Susan Kent, one of the music supervisors I worked with on The Fault in Our Stars, fell in love with her voice, wanted to work with her as a vocalist, wanted her to write stuff just because they loved her voice. I don't think it ended up working out, but she at least got to go down there and meet with the music supervisor and have the opportunity. So sometimes film does work. However, it's just, it's a little bit different. It's a little harder market. It takes longer to get paid. The songwriters that I work with are not, you know, they're like, hey, I need to pay my utility bill. Can we license a song? And TV is a turn and burn. Ads are often a turn and burn, I will say. Just curious, and I know some people that met Corey a couple of Sunday Night Lives ago, he was talking about the Kia commercial that his a good friend got, like, what was it, $600,000 for this one Kia commercial. It was insane. I can speak on my Dunkin' Donuts commercial, which that was $50,000. I can speak on a Japanese commercial, which I'm going to put these briefs on the Song Shack when I get a chance, probably tomorrow. That brief was, it was a Japanese internet promo, I think on YouTube, but it was like geared towards Japanese and the territory was international. And it was like a 10-second clip of a song for this Japanese technology group. I can't remember, but it was $20,000. So that was this is a licensing fee. That does not count royalties. That's that one time we want to use the song. So anyhow, that's the basics of that. So your metadata. I feel like next week we need to talk about, I know the Super Bowl is going on. So if y'all aren't going to be able to make it next week, y'all let me know, because I don't want to waste this information, because it is kind of like, you don't want to hop in 3 series from now, but let me know if the Super Bowl is going to be an interruption. Just reach out to me. But so that's kind of explaining what sync is and what that process is. So you're dealing with the music supervisors, and you generally have to go through a system, a sync agent, a publisher. However, if you do make that direct contact, you meet somebody at Walmart and they're like, oh, it just so happens I'm looking for, music for a Walmart ad. That's fine because you've gotten permission to pitch because of that contact. You still need to have all of your proper paperwork, or else it's just going to be something that you lose a lot of credibility. When people want to use your music, they want to know that you've got the proper paperwork. Paperwork's everything. Copyright, split sheets, who owns the masters. Then the metadata we were talking about that you put in the MP3, I like to send a sheet of metadata for my pitches. So that way, if they want to be like, oh, wait, I like her music, I may want to use some more of her songs. Let me see where else she's got music. Generally, that's what happens. Can you think of a TV show right now? Because I know I can, that featured an artist once, and then you notice that their song just showed up all over the season? Okay. I can think of like 100. So I'm going to use, oh my God, what was the one where the teenage strength, 13 Reasons Why. 13 Reasons Why. Was it Lord Heron, I think, showed up on that one and ended up being all through that season. Same thing with These Lovers Gone Human. What is that song? I'm a giggle at a funeral. What is his name?
Hoiser.
Okay, so he showed up during yeah. So he show up. So a lot of times you've got an artist and they show up one time on one episode and it just fits the vibe so good of the show that the music supervisor is like, okay, what else you got? The audience loves you. And keep in mind that they're being showcased on that made them stars. I can talk about, not Hozier, Lord Huron, I forget what song he did, but I remember in 13, 14, somebody had passed along a demo and they were like, check this out. And it was like, it was so weird then. It was so outside of the box that I was like, God, that's cool. But I don't know. The Night We Met. Thank you. It was not that song, but it was him. And I remember thinking, he's cool. Like, I like his voice. It's a good piece of music, but what the heck, And of course, he ended up being everything. I'm sure it was probably an opportunity I passed on because I was a dummy, but it was certain things like that are outside of the box, but the audience picks it up. And it just so happened he made it on the show, got famous from it. Same thing with Billie Eilish, oddly. Her mom had a dance studio, I believe. Somebody fact check me, but I want to say that her and her brother, obviously talented people, and let's give them credit. They're brilliant. Whether you like their music or not, you got to give them that. And they got her music placed on an ad. I believe her mom had a dance studio, or maybe it was an aunt or something, but that's how her music got that first big exposure, was being on an ad. So that's the importance of sync. Okay, so let's do this. Oh my gosh, there was so many other things. There's just so much to say. Oh my gosh, Dusty, you should have helped me with some of this. Okay, so I think one thing that I think y'all need to think about before the next series, because what I'm going to do is, next week, I want to listen to some stuff that you guys may have. And I'm also going to give you a challenge this week to see if you kind of understand the sync. I'm going to give you a scene, and then you have an idea of what music you think might fit the scene. And then next week we'll look at it and see how close you were to what the music supervisor actually used. And then for some of you guys that have music that you want to put in sync, one suggestion, we're going to hit on this deeper next week, is find your project. Find your reels. If you know that your project sounds like Beyonce, and your reel is Beyonce, but you know that you've got a few pieces of music that may sound like Adele, and all of these flavors fit, the Spy series on Netflix, or whatever that series may be, then that's where you need to go. You may not want to be pitching your stuff to Heart of Dixie or to Ballers that looks more for hip hop and edgier stuff. So that's why your reels are so important, because you need to know where is this music going to fit, and where you can find out. If you haven't written this down, this should be something you guys just take a look through there. Tunefind.com. That's going to show you every song that's been put on every show. It also shows you shows that are going on right now. So it's super important for you to find your place with your music. There's so many good TV shows that are in production. Keep in mind, we were closed for a year. So now everybody's just like going insane trying to wrap their projects up and get to the next season. They've been writing for a year and everybody's just on the edge of their seat trying to get their creativity out. So music is in demand right now. As a matter of fact, there's so many things that I'm just gonna have to tell you. Like I said, this is 2 semesters worth of stuff. Y'all just try to just soak it in. Again, if you have questions, email me, post them on the Facebook page. You should have questions. This is confusing. Even still to me, and I've been doing this for 10 years. 5 years ago, nobody even knew what it was. I didn't even know what it was. I remember they were like, do you want to be one of the women in sync? And I was like, sure. If it's a free ticket, where? Okay. I hardly knew. I just placed a couple of songs in a couple of projects. I wasn't anybody. I didn't know anything. I still don't. I mean, it's changing all the time. So I think that going to TuneFind, find your project, find where you think your home for your music might fit. For some of you that are writing, and here's something that's really interesting too, and that is some of my songwriters are like, I love writing metal, but they're like, metal is just going to be hard to find, a sync for. So what happens is they'll find a TV show or an ad, or they might like look at some of my briefs and be like, ooh, I want to write to that. I want to write a song for, NCIS New Orleans, which by the way is looking for music. And on TuneFind, you'll see what kind of music they're looking for. Every season is different. I know right now, I think they're doing some kind of like New Orleans style music, although that's not always the case. But look at it on TuneFind. If you like go to NCIS and you're like, oh, okay, this sounds like something I would write. Then if you've got something, that's going to be the direction where you can put your music. If you don't, but you like it, you can write a song as a songwriter just to make money and then not compromise your integrity in your project. You see what I mean? Does everybody understand what I mean by that? You're an artist here with this project that is the reel of Lady Gaga, but as a songwriter, I'm writing country music, metal music. I've written metal music. As a matter of fact, it was just hilarious. Somebody sent us tickets because I've written a song for this band. Cody, do you remember that band? And then they had sent these tickets or passes, and I was like, what is this? And one of my sons were like, oh my God, this is that band. And I was like, oh crap. Okay. How cool is that? Because my song was like indie singer songwriter. And they're like, rah, rah.
Yeah,
so I mean, it's just okay. So it's one of those things as a songwriter. And if you don't want to compromise your integrity, you write under a ghostwriter name. Or, there are tons of, I know people that ghostwrite because they're under contract with Sony, but they're only supposed to be a Sony staff writer, but Warner Brothers is looking for something, and your rent's due and you need to get on a project, then you can ghostwrite without it being a integrity compromise sort of. I mean, like I probably just said something awful to you guys. Don't listen to me. I'm just playing. It is one of those things that it compromising integrity or being sneaky. Yes, but also no, because like Sony sometimes knows that you can write on this. You just, as your songwriter brand, they don't want to muddy up the water. So there's some areas of that. Oh my God, there's so much information. Okay, so let's let that sink in, and then we'll go back and revisit some of this next week. Y'all should have questions. And then let's look at a challenge here. And I really am interested to hear about your questions next week with your music. For some of you that may just have a piece of music and you're like, where should I go with this? Yeah, I saw your hand over there. Okay, I couldn't tell if it was Wit or Zipporah. You may have a piece of music. And honestly, I always have to be honest. So if you want me to answer, if you want me to listen to it and see if it would fit this or that project, I will tell you. I will be honest with you, because some music I love just isn't syncable, but it's a fantastic, single for an artist. I really want my songwriters to really step up with their songwriting for sync. Why not? Especially if you've got a really good idea, if you've got a project that you watch TV, y'all have already got an edge over a lot of people, because some of y'all really keep up with these series and these shows. Almost every song I've pitched to and placed to, I've never even seen the show. Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce, I put 5 or 6 pieces of music on there. And that's another thing you can Google or look under TuneFind. Barbara and the Browns was one of the catalogs. And I know I placed a lot of her music on Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce. Never saw this show. And then later went and watched it, and I was like, oh my God, I love this show. Forgot that I'd placed music on it, and then heard one of the musics from one of the songs from my catalog. And I was like, oh crap. Oh wait, this is that show. So, I mean, I've never even watched the show. I would just look at the brief. Okay. So I'm going to give you all a challenge. Okay. Do not look this up in cheat sneakies. Like do you want to really see if you get this or not?
I'm about
Okay.
to cheat. Let's do it.
No, you ain't. I'm going to know if you did. Crazy. I got my eye on you. So let's talk about this. Okay. Who's seen Ozark? Netflix. If you haven't, it's like, I don't even like TV, and I ended up watching. I was like, this is crazy good. Okay. Millieanna, you live Ozark. I don't know what you're talking about. You're like, I can relate.
Ozark is one of the best shows ever, hands down.
It really is. I mean, anyhow, it caught me by surprise. Okay. So there was a piece of music placed on the end of season 2, which is crazy. But anyhow, I thought this is so weird because somebody showed me the scene with the music before I had watched the show. Now, after I've watched the show, I'm like, oh, that was good. That was clever. It was outside of the box thinking on the part of the music supervisor, which, keep in mind, your music supervisors, just because there's a death scene does not mean they want violins. You know, they're trying to win Emmys. You have to keep in mind, they're thinking outside of the box. They're wanting something that's not traditional. That's not, I told you I placed Seth's music from Dem Labs, was a punk rock Christian band, which I didn't even want to sign them when I picked up their music for a catalog, but I liked 2 of their songs. And I thought, if ever the apocalypse happens and somebody needs a Christian punk rock song, I've got it with Seth's music. That song ended up getting a sync to Undercover Rogue, and it was a significant amount of money. And I remember telling Seth, I was like, there's no way this director is going to keep this. If they listen to the lyrics, you're out. You know, they only like the music, but it was like, rah, 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 worship Jesus and I love Jesus. But it was like Christian punk rock music, but they put it to a very violent death scene. And I was like, we've licensed it. We're just going to sit back and wait. I'm not going to say anything if you don't say anything. And so anyhow, it ended up making that. That's another thing you look up on TuneFind. But it was Rogue was the name of the show. I can't remember if Undercover was the name of the episode and Rogue was the series, or if it was all Undercover Rogue. I mean, there's been hundreds of these, but anyhow, yeah. So it paid the bills and it made the cut. I would laugh so hard. I'm like, going, oh my God, they're going to hate me. But I never lied. I was like, okay, here you go. It's not my responsibility for you to read the lyrics. That's on the music supervisor. So anyhow, so you want to think outside of the box. That's my thought. Just because it's a death scene, as somebody who pitches music, I have to research how the music supervisor is. Think about Quentin Tarantino. Who knows who he is? What would you say makes his music so good in his shows if you know who he is?
It's a tough one.
Lizzie? Do you know anything Quentin Tarantino has done?
I don't even know who he is, honestly.
Okay, think of Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction, of course, that's the only one I can think of right now. Anyhow, he does really.
Come on, From Dusk Till Dawn, for 12 Years a Slave. Was it?
Thank you, son of my womb. Yes.
Django Unchained. He's done so many, or whatever it was.
Oh my God, yes. Oh God, did he do Django Unchained?
Was it Django or was it 12 Years a Slave? He got a lot of flack for using the N-word, but it was a phenomenal film.
Oh, it was so good. Django Unchained. Yeah. And that was literally one of my favorite. That movie moved me so much. I cried. I was just like, what? I felt so passionate. I felt all of the things a person should feel after they watch like an acclaimed movie. That's how I felt. And I don't like watching movies. My attention span's low. I got too many things to do. I mean, I sat there through the whole thing and was just like, what just happened? What makes him the kind of interesting music that gets placed on his films are because his music is so off the cuff. You would never expect them to do Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon on a murder scene. Like there's these very unusual selections of pieces of music to these scenes. So that's what makes Quentin Tarantino weird, and his shows, Django Unchained and Reservoir, Pulp Fiction, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Oh my God, yes, I totally forgot about that. So you've got these unusual things happening already because he's a creative mind. The music supervisor, which we learned tonight is the person that chooses music for the scene, has got to be as weird as he is. Okay, bye Wit. Bye Wit. Okay, here's the challenge. Find music for the last scene of Ozark. So anyhow, so that's my point, is that you want to look at what the music supervisor is doing. So usually if you've got a director that's outside of the box, then you've also got a music supervisor that knows they're going to let this director down if they don't meet them creatively. So anyhow, back to Ozark. We've got Ozark, which when I first heard this show, I thought, oh, this is going to be honky tonk music, bluegrass, which they did use some bluegrass, but you'd be surprised to learn that they used a very small piece of bluegrass music for this project. A lot of it is pop, a lot of it is indie singer-songwriter. But anyhow, the end of season 2 of episode 10 is where Wendy, Marty's wife, is dealing with, her new realization that even though she's tried to fight it, her family is in the cartel now. And spoiler alerts, if you haven't seen this, there's a little bit of a spoiler here. So anyhow, Wendy has realized, even though they're in Ozarks and, she tried to do better by her family, they're in the cartel. She had been in the back seat this whole time, just letting her husband take care of everything. The end of season 2 is when Wendy starts becoming more of like, you know what? I can do this too. I'm not just going to sit at home and make biscuits for Marty, who's out dealing with the drug dealers and laundering money. I'm also cool. I'm going to run this show also. So she decides that, screw Marty, I'm going to do this too. And she starts seeing herself as more of a fierce femme fatale, dealing directly with the cartel. And so anyhow, there's some dynamics that really shift with her at the end of this. And then she's realizing she's becoming the Walter White, if you will, of Ozark, which Walter White is one of those characters that you want to talk about some crazy music that's required for his scenes in oh God, what was the name of that show? I just thought about who he is and not the name of the show. Everybody knows it. Oh my God. Breaking Bad. Thank you. So anyhow, the challenge is going to be thinking about the dynamics. And the reason why I'm doing this challenge is because when I heard this piece of music and somebody had told me this scene before I'd watched Ozark, I was like, that just makes zero sense to me. So I ended up watching that one episode and I was like, oh, okay, I kind of get it, which prompted me to watch the whole season 2. So I did it backwards. I started from season 2, the very last scene, all the way backwards. So I'm going to challenge you to think about just what's going on in this scene. You've got this wife that's moved up to the Ozark Mountains with her cartel husband, they're a basic family, just your basic family. Just I'm from, white bread Michigan, just living the clock in, clock out life. I mean, and then all of a sudden they're throwing the cartel. So there they are, realizing that Wendy has taken the reins as dealing with the cartel. The last scene where this particular piece of music is placed is when Wendy is like, you know what, smile for the camera. They're taking a family picture. And Marty, her husband, is realizing that, God, this is our life. And we're smiling, taking a family picture like we're normal. And normally the wife would feel maybe a little depressed by that, but you could almost see this little hint in her eyes of almost like maybe excitement. Like she's learning how to smile and play the part. And inside she's excited about this new role that she's playing. There's a particular piece of music that just really caught me off guard. So I'm curious to see what kind of music y'all would think that scene might fit. I'm also curious to hear any music that you might have that you think, what do you think about this for this ad or this for this TV show? Find your reels like we had talked about. Find who you are as a writer, where your music is. It maybe not you as an artist, but maybe just your one song. Your one song may be, ooh, this would fit this project. If it does, let's listen to it next week. Next week, we're going to go into more details on the preparing music, writing music for some of you that are on the ground floor that are wanting to write to syncs. Also, for some of you that have written the paperwork. the paperwork to the pitch. So getting that part of this process ready. Also, next week, I'm going to give you a couple of actual briefs. So if you do have music that's clear, even if it's a demo, if it's something that is all yours, keep in mind if you're writing to samples, I know some people will write melodies to like samples of other music. That's not clear music. That's a whole, it has to be all of this music has to belong to you, or at least you've got an agreement with somebody that you've gotten beats from or a melody from. And then we're going to talk about where we go from here and what we can do with the next step of getting ready to pitch. This has been a lot of fun. I know it's a lot of information. I'm doing my best trying to, like I said, it's so much, but I know for my students, which we talk a lot about sync, this is super important. Yeah, Mia?
Okay, so for the challenge, do we write our
Yes.
own song or do we find a song that we know?
You know what, whatever you think, even if you don't, if you've got a song, cool, think about it. If you know of a song, like, oh, okay, well, Red Hot Chili Peppers Under the Bridge might work for this, whereas don't. But anyhow, it might. But anyhow, or if you know of a piece of music, or if you don't have anything, but you're like, strings would be pretty here with the content of blah, blah, blah. So that's just something to kind of see if you're kind of getting that concept. We're going to go over some more placements. I'm going to tell you this while you got your pens and paper out, just to get an idea of some of the stuff that I've placed, so you can kind of see how this goes. And you might be like, okay, so I heard this song on this show, how much did this sync for? And I can give that information as long as I don't. A couple of things to look at that I have placed that I thought, while you're in there digging around. Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce. You can look at Barbara and the Browns. They've got some crazy good music that we've put on that. Oh gosh, there was one song that I want to show y'all, the one that on This Is Us, and I don't have that in front of me. I just found this today, actually. The Herbal Essence campaign, which was really interesting. That was one ad. We're going to talk more about ads next week, too. I know I'm significantly running over on time. We're going to talk more about ads next week, too. I'm going to go over some of this, and some of this I'm going to place on the Facebook page. Millie Ann's I see that she's already done a Google Doc. You perfect little angel. I love you, hard hands. Welcome, new people. Oh, my God, Tundria, hey. Oh, my God, you're all married and stuff. Hey, girly. Hey, Noah. New people, look at little Zipporah, so cute. So all the new people, thank you for stopping in. I know it's a lot of information. If you have any questions, again, email me, go to the Facebook page, make sure you join it. I think any person who wants to, thanks, Andrea, it's so much information. We're going to go back over some more stuff next week in the same room at 6 o'clock. This is part one of maybe 2, maybe 3, but next week we will go over briefs, which is going to be a lot of fun because I've got some really good ones. They're looking for music, and we're going to go over those next week. Thanks, you guys. I will post a video on the Facebook group. So good to see y'all. See y'all in Syncland. See you next week. Bye, you guys.
We love you. We'll see you, Miss.
Love you, precious angel.
Love you, Missy.
Love you, angel. You precious little thing. Bye, you guys. See you next week.